You already know that I want to make a round frame for this metal sign. I have this oak board that is 1 centimeter thick, and I will need to cut it into 3 strips, each one 6 centimeters wide. With them, I will need to make 2 hexagons to create the circular frame. Instead of just calculating, I'm going to draw, at a 1:1 scale, the shape of the pieces I need to make the hexagons. I don't have a compass, but the metal sign is 30 centimeters in diameter. So I mark half of that measurement, from the center, along the diagonals I drew. And those marks help to center the metal sign, so I can use it to draw the circle. Look at that. It was more precise than it seemed it would be. Now, if I want a hexagon inscribed in a circle, I need to draw one of the sides. I draw a line. I don't use the one I already have, just to avoid confusion. And I want the wood here to extend a couple of centimeters inward. And initially 4 outward, but we'll see. Now, I have the length of the radius. And the sides of a hexagon measure the same as the radius of the circle in which it is inscribed. That's the side of the inscribed hexagon. And these are 60 degrees. Here, I have the 2 centimeters and this is the inner edge of the wood. Okay, you can see that I have erased some lines. The 4 centimeters left little clearance here with the metal sign. No problem, I will extend it by half a centimeter here. And so I have 2 centimeters from the metal sign. And it turns out that I will need wooden strips 6 centimeters wide. I think it will be enough if I leave 2 centimeters of clearance here. Well, I hope so. I measure 6 and 6. And I draw that line. It gives me the outer edge of the wooden piece. I need to cut 12 pieces exactly like this one. Yes, I need 12 pieces, because I will need to make 2 hexagons. The outer side measures 20 centimeters plus a couple of millimeters. But first, I will pre-cut rectangular pieces that are slightly longer. Let's now draw the pieces from the previous video. I marked the diagonals and the center on another piece of this thin piece of plywood. The square and the set square are a bit short, but I'll manage. All right, from the center, there I have 60 degrees. Let me mark these more clearly. I mark the radius of the metal sign. And I center it and draw the circle. "60 degrees, and that's 30. Here I have the 30th. I draw the line from the center. And by drawing a tangent, where it intersects the circle, this line is the side of the hexagon within which the circle is inscribed. This time I draw the hexagon on the outside. You already know I intended to make a hexagonal frame into which the metal sign would fit perfectly. I can measure the inner side of the piece like this. That's the inner side. But with the adjustable miter box I am using, well, it is easier for me to work with the outer measurement. That is why I need to calculate this length. And I wanted to make the frame with the wooden pieces positioned vertically, like this. I mark here the thickness of the wood. This is the thickness of the wood. I draw the parallel line. And now, of course, I could measure here directly, but let's calculate that measurement to check if the drawing is accurate. I know this measurement. The radius plus the thickness of the wood. This is what I need. L. So this is L divided by 2. And this is 60 degrees. Then the tangent of 60 degrees is equal to the opposite leg divided by the adjacent leg. So, this 2, dividing in the denominator, I moved it up to multiply. I isolate L, and that's how I will obtain this measurement. L should measure 19 centimeters and 45 millimeters. Shall we check? I think it couldn't be more perfect. This time I did well. Let's now draw the hexagonal bases for the box. More or less around here. The hexagon won't extend beyond the plywood sheet. I draw this line. And I measure to mark this point. That measurement is the inner side of these pieces. I draw 60 degrees from this point, and 60 from the other. And drawing also toward the inside, we have the center of the hexagon. I align the square to that line, where one side of the hexagon will go. These are 60 degrees. There we have them. And if I turn the set square like this, I draw this line through the center. This line is parallel to the first line I drew. And from here, I can draw the line for the next side of the hexagon. I extend this one, and I draw the one for that side. Now, all the sides of the hexagon must measure the same. So I transfer that measurement to these two lines. I know, you cannot see what I am doing. I measured here and here. I checked that the measurement between marks is correct. And I drew the line to complete the hexagon. Now I place one of the wooden pieces for the hexagonal box here. The miter cuts aligned with the lines. I want to find a point that fits well into the groove without reaching the bottom. I think that point works for me. I extend all the diagonals and now, from the point I marked, the tape gives me the measurement to the center. With this trick, I won't have to keep finding the measurement repeatedly. And I transfer the measurement to all the vertices. That way, I know how much larger I need to make the hexagon. I check that the size will be correct. And I cut it. I also made another hexagon for these narrow pieces. Before gluing the pieces of the box, I checked that the hexagons fit. In this case, I need to sand some edges, as on some sides of the hexagon, I cut slightly away from the line. The hexagon must not reach the bottom of the grooves. If it does, it likely won't allow the wooden joints to close properly. That's the hexagon for the lid. It is a bit smaller. When cutting quickly, I broke a corner. I glued it back in place and then finished cutting it. In the next video, I do hope to finish making the hexagonal box, and we'll see how I almost mess it up again. This is a cheap sauce dispenser. I pour white glue into it and it works great. The carpenter's glue has been in there for months, and it is perfect. It might pour a bit too much, but overall it works quite well.